Hi, I'm Susan Cranston, and I'm the host of Authentik You, a talk show that features real people in our community who've made changes in their life or in their career to find a more authentic journey. And that journey often begins on a path of new beginnings. Perhaps this has happened to you or someone you know. You've gone to school to follow a certain career and pursue your interests, and what happens is you find that you wake up in the morning, it's dark. By the time you leave at the end of the day, it's dark. You're working 12, 14 hours, and you wonder where that happiness was that you thought you'd have pursuing the career that you wanted. If that isn't necessarily something that's happened to you, perhaps it's happened to someone that you know. Today's guest is going to share her journey with us and her experience that followed a similar path. And I'm delighted to have Bhupi Rajput here with us today. I actually met Bhupi about a year ago, yes. And that was, I met you at the Glass Slipper Affair, and Bhupi does a lot of volunteering in our community. She's often there helping out in terms of practicing her business, which is a henna tattoo or mehendi, as a mehendi artist. And she had a very different career than what she's doing right now. But I did get to know her then, and there were a lineup. It must have been like, I don't know, it felt like it was out the door in terms of the number of people that were there waiting to get.
I lost count.
And you lost count. So by the time I actually approached to get mine done, I was so fascinated to hear about what she was doing and about how she started down this journey that I had to blog about you and find out more about you, and then obviously have you on the show. So one of the things that Bhupi shared with me is that she actually started her career in the United Kingdom, and she was a research and consultant, and you led a marketing team for a financial consultancy firm in the UK, and you were working there for two of the partners, and you found yourself working crazy long hours in that job there. Tell us a little bit about that, Bhupi. What was that experience like for you?
Initially, it was great fun because all of a sudden I went from a student to earning a whole heap of money, which I didn't have. So I could now buy shoes and clothes and all the things that everybody wants to.
Right.
And I was fine until they offered me promotion and I got promoted to management. And before you know it, I was working between 64 to 90 something hours a week. So on average, 7 days a week. So if you average that out, that was like 17 hours a day. So I had no life. I woke up in the morning, went straight to work. And when I came home, either the sun was just coming up or, you know, it was really, really dark. Most of the time I ended up staying in hotels because by the time I finished work, the tubes and the underground had actually stopped working.
So it could have been a bit of dangerous for you too, depending on when you were,
yes,
you know, when you were leaving. And how was that for your family and friends?
I was single at the time, so it was doable. I think if I'd been married, it would have been a complete disaster. My friends never saw me. And it just happened that one of my friends phoned me and said, hey, we should get together. And I'm like, yeah, didn't we just do that? And she went, no, that was in May. We're in October. And I'm like, oh my gosh. That's when the penny dropped and I realized I've been working so much that I let my whole summer slip by. And in England, it's a bit of a, you know, you have to go out for the summer because you only get like 4 weeks of it.
It's so short, right? And there's a lot of rain as well.
Oh my God, oh yeah,
and it gets chilly. So what did you do once you said the penny dropped? What did that mean for you?
It meant, oh my gosh, what am I doing with myself? I'm single, I'm young, why am I working so much? And then I went to see my friend that weekend and I refused to work. And I sat down and I said, what am I gonna do? I can't do this anymore. This is crazy. And I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years already by that point. So, you know, I had my bank balance was very happy, but I was miserable. So I decided I needed to make a change.
And did your friend influence you at all or give you any suggestions, or was she just happy that you were taking the weekend off work and spending time?
Well, that too. We did a lot of drinking, a lot of bonding over the weekend. And then it was like, what am I going to do? And where do I start? And how do I go about, you know, reducing my hours? So I went back to the office, I talked to the partners and I said, look, you know, I've just realized I'm working almost 17, 18 hours a day. This is ridiculous. And they never even looked twice at my timesheet. They just sign it without even realizing how many hours I'm working.
So they weren't aware of it
They
at
weren't
all?
aware at all because I never let on to them that I was under so much stress, and I just carried on with the job at hand. And if my staff didn't show up, I was responsible for getting the deadlines.
So hence you had to stay late,
Yeah.
work the weekends. You probably had a lot of tight deadlines.
A
So what
lot.
happens then when you approach the partners and said, I can't continue to do this?
They offered me more staff, and I said, it's not the matter of staff, it's just whenever they're here, they do their work, but I need another manager in this position, and they didn't have the funding to get another manager in.
So what happened then?
I decided to take leave. I had almost 3 months of vacation due to me. So I took a couple of weeks off and I went to Europe, and I thought that was going to solve my problems and help me decide what I wanted to do.
So you did a little bit of traveling then
Yes.
at that point.
So I went to Spain, I went to Greece, and I went to Italy, and I was still looking at deadlines. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go catch that train. Oh my gosh, I have to go do this,
So you were still in the wheel, sort of the cog in the wheel of that, or the hamster in the wheel, even though you were technically taking a break and on vacation.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is we're just going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to hear about what Bhupi did after that trip and what her experience was to basically transform her life. So stay with us. We'll be back in a moment. Hi, and welcome back to Authentik You. I'm your host, Susan Cranston, and I'm here with henna artist Bhupi Rajput, and she's just been telling us a fascinating story about how she took a break from being a marketing executive, marketing manager in the UK, and was traveling around Europe trying to decide if that mini break she had was enough. And we're just hearing now about what were the next steps. What happened when you came back from that vacation?
I came back, and because a lot of agencies started headhunting, I wanted to know if I would, they had this perfect job for me, but I was being forced and pushed into the same kind of position that I was working in. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. But that's what you specialized in. That's what you do. No, I don't want to do that anymore. Well, what do you want to do? And I said, I don't know. And I decided I needed to do something that was so radically different, where I could just basically change my life. And ever since I was a kid, I wanted to go to India. And I said to my parents, I'm going, but you're not coming with me, and I don't want to go with you.
Oh, wow. I wonder, how did they take that?
My mom was terrified. What do you mean you're going to India by yourself? Well, I'm going to go, and I'm going to travel, and I'm going to, decide what I want to do. Well, you know what you're doing. You've earned your degree. You're working. You're earning good money.
That's right.
What more do you want?
You're successful, Bhupi.
Yeah.
Why would you want to change and go off and do something else? How
Yeah.
did that feel in that moment, like when you were trying to describe without really even knowing what it was that you wanted to do?
Well, it's very hard to make Indian parents understand that what you've worked so hard for, at university is not what you really want to do with your life, and you don't know what you want to do anymore when you've spent, 4 years at university slogging away and taking exams. Yes. So I said, okay, I'm going. And my mom was terrified, and she said, I just need a phone call at the end of the week. Once a week, I just need to know that you're alive and you're well.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Because I didn't know where I was going to go, what I was going to do. I just wanted it to be so different that I didn't have a schedule and I wasn't working to a schedule. So I landed in Delhi, and for me, I was born in a third world country. So for me, it was the same. Instead of seeing, lots of little, African kids, I'm seeing Indian kids. So, and then within 2 days, I decided I couldn't speak English on the streets because it was getting me into trouble.
Okay.
So
in terms of your concern for your safety?
No, in terms of being told something was 300 rupees, and then all of a sudden, as soon as I spoke English, it went to 3,500 rupees. And bargaining is a part of Indian culture. So, they start at 5,000, and then you have to break them down, and then you always end up meeting somewhere that's mutual, right, that you want, the price that you want to pay.
No matter what that you paid, you feel comfortable with that.
Exactly. Okay. So I stopped speaking English. I stayed in Delhi for about 2 or 3 weeks. I learned the local dialect. I just listened to how people talked, and I picked up the local dialect. Wow. And after that, nobody knew where I was from.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, and I learned Hindi from the movies, watching Indian Bollywood growing up, and that's how I learned Hindi. And I just went from there, and then I decided, okay, and then I met a whole bunch of other travelers from all over the world, from Canada, from the States, from Australia, from Germany, and, you just meet them, and then, you talk to them and see where they're going, and you end up sometimes meeting them along the way, and,
So what happened when you were in Rajasthan?
While this was about 6 months into my trip, I ended up in Rajasthan, and there was a girl outside my hotel. She was doing henna, and I was fascinated. Even as a child, it was something I always wanted to do, but
It's beautiful.
yeah. But being Indian, parents were like, no, you need to be a doctor, or you need to be a lawyer.
Or a marketing executive.
Or marketing executive, where you make lots of money. Right? So, and it was a dream that was crushed. And I said to this girl, I said, teach me how to do this. And she says, but madam, why do you want to learn? You are educated, you are wealthy, why do you want to learn? I said, for fun. She thought I was crazy.
Oh. Because what did she say, that was really for someone that didn't have an education,
Exactly.
right?
She
that
said,
had no other choice.
Yeah, it was for people that were illiterate. And I said, no, I just want to learn. And I said, I'll feed you and I'll pay you. And she just looked at me, thought I was completely crazy. So the next day she came to the hotel and she sat there and she taught me. And, she kept hiding food and into her little bags and stuff. And I'm saying, no, you don't need to hide. You can take everything here. I'm not worried. She was the breadwinner. She was 9 years old.
Wow. She was 9 years old.
She was 9 years old, and she was the breadwinner of the family.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because her dad was an alcoholic. Mom was pregnant again with like the 6th child. And, she was already married at the age of 9. And as soon as she'd reached puberty, she was going to go to her in-laws. So, it was, for me, it was heartbreaking, but it was a reality of life there. And there's nothing you can do about it.
That must have made her feel good, though, when she got over sort of the fact that she thought you were crazy, that she was actually able to mentor you and teach you.
Yeah.
And the one thing I can say about that is I've seen you a number of times. I'm a huge fan of your work, and I've actually modeled for you at the library.
I know, thank you.
And any opportunity, I'm delighted to get a henna from you. But you do it so quickly, and it's so intricate and beautiful, and the unique designs. It's just fascinating.
Thank you. It's a learnt art. So, I learnt a little bit from her, and then once I ended up back in Delhi, I actually went to a school and I learnt how to mix the paste and, the pre-care, after-care and all the things. And then along the way, every day for me is a learning opportunity and experience. And I have to keep up to date with the trends in Bollywood. I have to keep up to date with the trends of Western culture as well, just to see what's happening, because all of a sudden I'll get a bride. I want this design from this movie, and I'm supposed to pull it out of thin air.
Wow, that would be challenging and probably a little bit stressful,
Yeah.
particularly when it's a wedding. But that just reminds me, several times when I've actually had, when I'm modeling one of your henna designs, someone will come up to me, and invariably the first thing they say to me is, oh, Susan, did you go to a wedding? And I'll say, no, my friend Bhupi did this beautiful design in my hand just because. Tell me about that. I'm sure you hear that a lot as well.
Yeah, henna is very culturally based, and it's associated with weddings or any form of celebration. So weddings, engagements, and when you have a baby. So when you're in your 7th month of pregnancy, you get henna done again. And it's basically when you get married, because the color of henna goes red on your skin, they associate with you becoming a woman.
Okay.
Right, so that's why our wedding outfits are red, because it's the color of life. So
I had no idea.
Yeah, so when you get married, it's actually part of your outfit. So, and if you don't have henna on your hands or your feet, it just looks odd.
It's just part of what you're wearing,
Yeah.
and it's part of the entire celebration. But it's more than just that. I mean, that's what you're doing. And you actually brought some samples. I asked you to bring some things along
Yes.
to talk to people about it, because I find I end up being an ambassador for you when I'm doing this. People say, well, what's it made of? Is it permanent? How long does it last?
Yeah.
And could you talk to us a little bit about what's in the henna? Is it safe? How long it lasts, what you can do to preserve it, and just show us a little bit what you brought here.
Well, henna powder is actually the leaves of the henna plant. They dry them and they crush them, and this is the actual end result.
Okay.
And as you can see, it's actually green because it's the leaves that are crushed.
Right.
And my ingredients are tea tree oil, lemon juice, and sugar, and that's all that goes into my henna.
It's
so it's
completely
100% natural. So these ingredients here mixed end up in here, and then I make little cones like this from cello paper, and then I put it so it's like a piping bag, and that's how you apply it.
And then you just apply it.
Yeah.
And you're so quick when you do it. I mean, I know you have a book that you can go through
Yeah.
and to show people, but I always say just do whatever strikes your fancy, and it's so intricate, and often you're designing it upside down, which I think adds another layer of complexity.
I think I've been doing it for so long now. It's been almost 16 years I've been doing this, and a lot of the designs just come very naturally to me now. Every now and again I'll get a request, can you put a lotus flower in here? Can you put, Hello Kitty into my design? And yes, I will. And I will find a way to make sure that it looks beautiful within the design.
Within the design. But more than just doing the henna on someone's arm or leg, you also do glassware.
I do.
And this is, I want to just acknowledge this, and we could take a minute before we go to commercial. Bhupi made this for the set and as a gift to me, and this is just an example of the fantastic work that she does and the intricate designs that you can see here on this vase. And as well, I'm assuming that you also did the designs and the plates.
And all the designs have different meanings.
Oh, okay.
Right? So this one is based on paisleys, and paisleys in traditional Indian represent unripe mangoes, and they signify that as the mango ripens, so will everything else in your life. So you'll find them associated a lot with bridal. So you'll find a lot of paisleys in bridal designs.
Well, it's absolutely beautiful, but I had no idea about that as well.
Yeah. So, and this is one of your favorites, and this is what I do for you most of the time.
Yeah. It is.
And I do a lot of florals represent beauty and growth, and lotus flowers symbolize strength, because it's the only flower in the world that the seeds can be in mud or even in a huge pile of water. And when it comes out, it will eventually bloom. When it comes out, there's not one bit of dirt on it. So it symbolizes purity as well.
Purity. And it's, such a beautiful flower as well, right? So we're just going to take another commercial break, and we're going to hear more about the future of Bhupi's plans for her henna design and some advice for people who may want to be starting up a small business and really dramatically shift their career. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Hi, and welcome back to Authentik You. I'm your host, Susan Cranston, and I'm here with Bhupi Rajput. She was a marketing executive in the UK, and then she's now a fabulously well-known henna tattoo artist here in Cambridge, Kitchener, so Waterloo region basically, attending different events all over our community and showing people the designs that she does in terms of the henna on arms, legs, basically on skin, but also the glassware that she does. And we were just talking before the commercial break about this beautiful vase you've created and the symbolism around some of this. Now the henna itself, you've brought some examples here, is a brown henna. Yeah. Now, you and I were chatting before that there is another kind of henna, and there's some real concerns around that. Can you talk to us a little bit about black henna?
Yes. A lot of people, whether you go to Cuba, anywhere in the world, they'll do black henna. Black henna is actually not natural. There is nothing natural about it. They mix a chemical called PPD, which makes it go black, which is basically hair dye. Now, when you put hair dye in your hair, even your hairdresser will put gloves on because they're not supposed to touch the chemicals, and this chemical is going into your bloodstream mixed with henna, and it can cause drastic problems. I've seen skin blistering, I've seen third-degree chemical burns from it, and what hurts me most is that they're doing it on children, and the kids are left with permanent scarring, and they're terrified to try anything new. And it really, really makes me very angry. So
the big message here is that whatever you do, make sure that you're not getting the black henna that you ask about, whether it's natural, that it is this type of the brown henna.
Well, what I tell everybody to do is always ask the artist what the ingredients are in their henna. And if they keep saying it's natural, it means that they have absolutely no idea.
Okay.
Or they don't want to share with you.
So ask the ingredients. Be very specific.
Yes.
And know what the ingredients are. And if they don't tell you,
just walk away.
Then walk away from that.
It's better to walk away than have suffering and skin grafting operations afterwards.
And that would be horrific, having the blistering. And is that more because they want it to look permanent? Because one of the things we didn't touch on, which I want to ask you about, how long does a henna like this last on someone?
It can last anything from 1 week to about 4 weeks, depending on your aftercare. And obviously every individual's skin is different, and henna reacts to everybody differently. So on you, it might go really dark red. On somebody else, it might just stay orange, right? And that's only because of the chemistry of their skin. Right, and their body.
So for the aftercare, what do you recommend someone do to make sure they get sort of optimum results?
So before showering, apply oil. And before going out in the sun or the pool or to the gym, just use some waterproof sunscreen, and that will help prevent it fading quicker.
Okay, so when you say an oil, could it be like a cooking oil or even like a chapstick or something like that? Or what would you recommend?
Chapstick is fine. Cooking oil is fine. Just don't use any baby oil, because anything that has perfume or chemicals in it
will impact it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very helpful to know. So, Bhupi, I want to talk just a little bit more about your transition, because it's huge. You know, going from the role that you had in the UK and working those crazy hours and having that marketing role to doing this, which is fascinating, but in itself it's such a huge change. I know that there are probably viewers out there that are looking to make a similar change in terms of a drastic shift in what they might currently be doing to what is their heart's desire, what their interest is. What advice would you have for someone that may be considering something like this?
If you wake up in the morning and you're not looking forward to going to work, and you find excuses why you're sick and you don't want to go in, take the plunge, find something. Do what interests you most. I was very fortunate that I found henna, or should I say it found me, because it changed my life dramatically. Because if it wasn't for that, by the time I came back to England, even after traveling in India for 2 years, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. But I knew I didn't want to go back to the life of madness and crazy hours. And just to appreciate simple things in life, like, you know, taking a walk in the park. I couldn't remember the last time I did that when I was working.
So there are a lot of signs there.
Yes.
It's a matter of paying attention to it, and then once you decide, you really are pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone in terms of what you knew, right?
Yes, because all of a sudden you have no steady income, and then you're wondering, oh my God, how am I going to pay the mortgage? How am I going to pay the bills? And honestly, having my marketing degree really helped me, because I wrote my business plan. I decided how I was going to market, what I was going to do, which age group I was going to target. Obviously, being in London, the Indian market was flooding. I did one friend's wedding, and from that I started getting recommendations, and before you know it, every Thursday and Friday, all I did was brides. And yes, I worked 2 days, crazy hours, but it was better to do the 2 days than do 7 days a week.
Oh, for sure. Well, it's fascinating to look at this, because you've applied your marketing background, so those transferable skills, into your new career. And I just want to really thank you so much for coming on our show today, and I wish you just continued success in every way and everything you're doing. And thank you for being an inspiration for those people that might be out there and you know, considering a significant change in terms of what they're doing and following their passion.
Thank you for having me.
It's absolutely delightful, and your sari is just gorgeous. I love it. It's beautiful. I also want to thank our crew here at Rogers for the work that they do, and the fabulous team, the Authentik You team that I have. There's Susan Carlucci from Bravado Consulting, who's our image consultant, David Boys, who did our set. Bhupi, I want to thank you again for this beautiful vase that will stay here on our set. We're excited to have it. And also Scott Keller, who does hair design, Jen Havinga from Distinct Boutique, who does all of our makeup, and she's an esthetician. And I also want to thank Elise Bierstock, who's our PR and media expert, and helps prepare our guests with any questions or support that they need. Now, you can follow us on Authentik You. That's a Facebook page that we have. We also have a Twitter handle, which is Authentik You. And if you have questions or you're interested in being featured or on the show, please reach out to us at authenticyu@gmail.com. And we so appreciate the fact that you decided to stay and watch the show today. There are many other things you could have done with the last 30 minutes. And, you know, it's always a good day. Just remember, it's always a good day to be your authentic self. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.